Okay, this is video review really of the 2-in 4-out to USB 3 switch here. And what we're going to do is we're going to just double check that it works. I'll show you everything you get in the box, and then we're going to do some speed tests just to test that it is USB 3 speeds. As you can see, I'm unsealing it for the first time. So this is exactly what you'll get if you order it. So this is what you get. There's the switch itself. It comes with, as you can see here, two USB, well, they're USB-A to USB-A cables, which really you shouldn't have, but there you go, they're here. Also, two USB-A to USB-C adapters, we'll test those out as well, and a power cable for just powering the device, and that is USB-A to USB-C. Be careful not to use that one for data transfer. It's only a very thin cable, so it's only going to be for power, that one. Then here's the actual unit itself. 4 USB 3 type A ports on one side. These are the ones you're going to plug your devices into. And then 2 USB type A ports. Really, they should be USB 3 type B ports, sorry. But they're not. These are where you're going to plug your computers in. This will go off to one computer. This will go off to the other computer. And it'll share whatever's plugged into these 4 ports here. There's a button on the top. It's a clicky button, and the whole unit feels really light, very, very light. Entirely plastic construction, so they've obviously made savings on the cost of the casing. Let's hope they haven't made savings on the cost of the internal components as well. Okay, so the first thing I'm testing it with is this mouse, and as I move the mouse cursor over here, you can see it's working absolutely fine. It's plugged in here. This is the kind of thing that I would recommend that you use a USB switch like this for low data throughput devices like this that don't matter if you switch them while the computer's on. If I do the switch, obviously there's no other computer plugged in there, but you can see that it's now stopped the mouse from moving. Switch it back again, and the mouse wakes up again. You can see that there's very little timing lag in that, which I think is very, very good. Now you may also notice that now I have a SSD plugged in just here. Now this is a 10 gigabits a second SSD, but it'll only be working at 5 gigabits a second when it's plugged in here. And the speed test there is a little slower than I'd expect it to be. 425, probably expect it to be a bit higher than that, maybe 460-ish. But I'll run a baseline just to check this afterwards without this hub in the way, and we'll see if that makes a difference. One thing I will point out is that you may have noticed I am not using the power connector there. This is completely unpowered and using USB power. It works unpowered. I'd imagine if you're using a portable hard disk, you might need that power there for it to work properly. But without a portable hard disk, it's working pretty much okay as it is. I'm going to also give you a little bit more of a word of caution. It's USB 3, which means you've got the faster rate of data, so you can plug data storage devices in there. But if I switch this while this is being accessed, I've got a very, very strong risk of corrupting whatever's on here. So if you are going to use this with a data storage device, you must, make sure it's not being accessed, make sure it's not in use. Ideally, use Windows to eject it from the system before switching over. You can leave it plugged in and just press the button. But if you do it without ejecting the device first, or certainly without checking to see whether or not it's being accessed, you're very high risk of data corruption there. So yeah, just be careful with something like this if you're planning to attach data devices. Okay, and I'm just showing you what the speeds are for this when it's not plugged in through the hub. This is now connected directly to the port that this was connected to. And you can see there's about 15 megabits a second difference there between what this is plugged into and what this is plugged into. So you're basically, yeah, there's a very slight reduction in performance by going through this. Not going to be noticeable, if I'm being perfectly honest, not going to be noticeable. And just for the sake of completeness, I'm testing out these USB-A to C adapters just for data throughput as well. And as you can see, this particular SSD is benching pretty much at the same it was benching before, again at that 5 gigabits a second rate. So yeah, it looks like these work quite well as well. So conclusions, It's a very decent switch. It does everything it says it will. It's lightweight, but clearly the internals are absolutely fine. There was a very slight reduction in data transfer speed, but not a noticeable amount. Handy to have these little adapters included as well. Don't like that it uses USB A to A cables. That's not really the correct way of doing things, but it is what it is, and I'm not going to really complain that much about it. It works. It's fine. Yeah, if the price is reasonable, absolutely go for it.
Voilà, à ce niveau-là, voilà, mettons que, je sais pas, vous voulez brancher une manette, vous voulez jouer sur l'ordinateur portable, et puis après vous voulez basculer sur, comment dire, sur le PC fixe, voilà, voilà, vous pourrez le faire via ce petit boîtier, bon. Après, la qualité n'est pas si terrible. Voilà, ça permet de switcher, en fait, tout simplement. Il est fourni justement avec un câble d'alimentation qu'il faudra brancher à ce niveau-là. Voilà, c'est une sortie USB type C, voilà, une entrée, pardon. Voilà, 5 volts, il faudra le brancher. Bon, par contre, la prise murale n'est pas fournie avec. Nous avons justement ce qui est fourni, c'est des câbles, deux câbles au nombre de 2 pour brancher aux sources. Voilà, de USB type A mâle à USB type A mâle. Voilà, vous avez deux petits adaptateurs aussi. Voilà, des adaptateurs pour brancher, par exemple, le MacBook, voilà, vous le branchez à la connexion USB type C et vous le raccordez au boîtier. Voilà, on va faire un petit essai. Voilà, ce bouton permet d'un simple appui de switcher de l'un à l'autre. Voilà, on va brancher à une source d'alimentation. Voilà, on peut constater qu'il y a une petite LED bleue là qui s'allume. Voilà, d'un simple appui, on va vers l'un ou l'autre. Voilà. Voilà, en tout cas, cela semble bien fonctionner. Voilà, c'est pas mal. Ça va me servir, moi, pour mes périphériques. Voilà, clé USB et disque dur externe. Voilà, ça va me servir, c'est plutôt pas mal. Voilà, voilà. Ce que je trouve dommage quand même, c'est qu'il n'y ait pas de notice fournie avec. Voilà, de notice, du moins traduite en français. Hein. Il n'y a pas de notice du tout. Voilà, ou même en anglais ou autre. Voilà, voilà, il n'y a rien dans la boîte. Hein. Il n'y a pas de... Voilà. En tout cas, quoi qu'il en soit, bon, même si la qualité des plastiques ne semble pas terrible, le boîtier fonctionne. Voilà, en tout cas, j'espère que cette vidéo vous aura été utile et je vous remercie de l'avoir visionnée.